The Biden administration continues to double down on renter protection rights. Next. That article actually, and articles about HELOCs, which I actually have an opinion on, home equity line of credit. Next on Real Estate Daily. Welcome everyone. My name is Troy, and every day we go over the latest news in housing, real estate, and the mortgage markets. Now, today is the last day of January, which is exciting, but tomorrow is a big day. The Fed's meeting today. They're probably having some cocktails discussing what they're going to do with rates, which we all expect a quarter point to go up. And then tomorrow they're going to have their FOMC meeting and have a news conference afterwards. Now, we're going to jump into that a little bit today as well as interest rates. But before we do that, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Helps out the channel. We want to grow this. Let's jump right into it. Now, before we get into this, do me a favor, hit that like button, because you're not going to like this. So hit like, because you're not going to like this. All right, unless you're a renter and you plan to stay a renter for the rest of your life. This is from Housing Wire. It says Biden administration rolls out renter protections as rent prices soar. It's very interesting. In the last couple of months, we keep seeing that rent prices keep going down. In fact, yesterday we saw another article about rent prices going down. But of course, we know rent prices soar. Let's go look at the history of rent prices. That's kind of more the better view. Let's go what we call zoom out a little bit. So let's zoom out to 2021. The election happened. Biden came in, and what did he do? He continued to freeze the rents on everybody in the United States. So any investor who had rental properties, regardless if you owned them outright or you had a loan from the federal government, he froze rents, and then he said you couldn't evict them. So after most of 2020 and now 2021, and then going into 2022, did we have renter protection rights? Now, that was the layer that the federal government put over. What about the state level? Well, the state levels continue to put over those overlays onto these renter rights. It's becoming just a very, very poor decision, I think. And I really feel that the Biden administration and our current government really want you to be a renter. They want to make sure that you're protected. And if you're protected, you won't own a slice of the pie. And all these big hedge funds that are purchasing houses from new builders or buying up some of the bank-owned properties, not very many are out there, but buying up properties and making them rentals, they are protecting them, but they're not protecting you. And that's the big thing. So what they have proposed is any loan that's out there that is backed by Fannie, Freddie, or the FCTC is the Federal Housing FHFA. Excuse me, thinking of a whole nother thing. If they have a loan and the government's backing them, they're going to come out sooner or later with a set of renter rights for them. Now, think about it. 50% of all rentals in the United States are owned by a private citizen. They're not owned by, conglomerates like BlackRock or these big, because those companies have just jumped really into this sector now for the past 3 or 4 years and are buying up homes. With that being said, they are attacking the everyday investor. That's one property, maybe two properties. They've already attacked them through the flu season, if I want to call it. And now they're trying to attack them even further by giving renter rights. Now, if as an investor, if I turned around and I said, here's the history of my investment. In 2020, March, I was told I had to freeze rents, and then if the renter couldn't pay, then I turned around and I couldn't allow them to evict. That went on for about 1.5 years. Then I turned around, and in 2021, what did the federal government do? They continued to spend money at the biggest rate of all time. So the current administration spent over $10 trillion, not for housing, not for the homeless, not for starving people, they on their own agenda. The crap that they did, it was for their own agenda, not for anything that was going to be saving the world or making things better for all of us. They burned the money. Then they turned around and they had the Fed go ahead and print money, $9 trillion. So the government spends $10 trillion. The Fed produces out of thin air $9 trillion, and inflation just runs wild. And with that being said, once I'm able to turn around, and for 2 years I couldn't even raise rents, and this is outside major cities, then I turn around and I'm immediately in inflation, huge inflation. And with that being said, what am I going to do? Cost of goods go up, your utilities went up, your property taxes possibly have gone up. The federal government just made gasoline go through the roof. Everything doubled. There's no 6%. It's the CPI is called a lie. It's called CPI lie. That's all it really is. We all know that things went up 20, 30%. They didn't go up 10. So now the Biden administration wants to come in and say, oh, well, by the way, we want to reduce the amount of money you can charge, for rents. Guys, this is absolute government in your face, absolute over-regulating it. There's no free market here. They're trying to stop the free market. This is why you have to make good decisions when you go out and elect officials. It doesn't make any sense why you would elect an official that would really lock up your personal property and your rental properties and your investments out there and tell you you can only make so much, or we want you to lose money until you sell that off. Makes no sense. But what do they do with BlackRock? Yeah, BlackRock all day, we're going to give you money, but on the other hand, we're going to let you just raise rents into oblivion. What are you going to do with Blackstone? Raise rents into oblivion. There is no oversight with them, right? There's only oversight if you have a Govy loan or Govy back loan, which is your more private citizens. It's not your hedge funds. Guys, you need to fight this guy. You need to fight all the IRS agents that he brought to go take care of all your little deductions and everything else that he wants to go after. This is an assault, again, upon the real estate market, which is already getting hammered by poor decisions that he made that's caused the Fed to raise rates and to raise their rates, which then turned around and raised rates for this industry. He is the killer of markets, no question asked. All right. Enough on my soapbox. Let's go to the next one. DS News, housing market begins to recover in November low. The low actually was in October. November, it had a kind of a hangover effect, but now it's coming back. We've been saying this now since the end of November. I've been saying buy, 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 buy. Don't wait for, government agencies and media outlets to tell you a month and a half later. It doesn't do you any good because you didn't get in on those deals. You got in after everybody else sees the same thing and buyers go rushing into the market. And right now, we don't have any inventory and we're having multiple offers everywhere now. Again, we're seeing a resurgence back. And if the Fed decides to pivot or slow down their interest rates hikes, which we're going to probably get one tomorrow, and then we're going to see what the Fed says. And if they say they're going to possibly not raise, you're going to see interest rates, the bond market, people are going to go right into the bond market, which is going to in turn bring rates down even more. And people that can afford a house are going to be jumping into homes. It's going to be good. And we're going to have another big boom in housing market. And that isn't going to be the problem with this market. That's not at all. The banking system's the problem. It's always been the problem. The government knows it, but they're trying to mask it with everything else. Next. 3 keys to know before opening a home equity line of credit. Guys, I said this. Cash out refis are garbage. If you are in such dire need, okay, you need to look at a dire need of money. You need to look at all of your options. One option is to sell your home. It's not to go cash out refi and then all of a sudden you now owe more money on your home and your rate just went through the roof. Well, some people go, I'm going to jump into home equity lines of credit. I need you to understand what a HELOC is. It is literally borrowing. It's getting approved to borrow a line of credit. Now, if you pull from the line of credit, then you get dinged, and that's when you start owing. The difference is once you get a home equity line of credit at any time the bank can cancel it. You don't own that HELOC, okay? At any moment, if for whatever reason that bank had a liquidity problem, they can immediately cancel your home equity line of credit. This happened in 2008. This happened in 2009. People were like, oh, I'm sitting on money. If I have it for a rainy day, I have a home equity line of credit. I can pull equity out of my house. No, the bank can pull it. If we see the housing market take a little bigger dip down and values go down, you're going to see these get pulled right off the shelf immediately, and you're going to be left out. So keep that in mind. Cash out refi, money gets immediately deposited in your bank, but it really screws you on your monthly payment. HELOCs are just simply saying you're eligible for this line of credit, but we can at any time pull it from you. Keep that in mind. All right, next, we hit this at the very beginning. Again, smash that like button, guys, if you really like this content. Federal Reserve is likely to hike interest rates. We know they're pretty much going up a quarter tomorrow. And it says, what does that mean for you? Not a whole lot. I think it's all priced in. I think there's so much happiness that's in this market right now. Look at it. The crypto markets went up, stock market's going up, and they're going up with a little bit of too much pleasure, I think. When you just saw last month over $100,000 people get laid off in white collar jobs and in blue collar jobs, you're talking people who own homes. You're talking people who have higher end homes. You're talking about people who have money in the stock market. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to start pulling that. They're going to rein it back in. We're seeing that the credit card debt is at all-time highs. I mean, people are using their credit cards, and I keep telling them to stop using their credit cards because they have 25 to 30% interest. They are using their cards, okay? We're at all-time debt there. Well, obviously, if you need it, you have to use it to sustain, your lifestyle, but you need to start reevaluating everything. I keep saying that. Reevaluate what you do. Change your lifestyle if you have to. All right, and last but not least, interest rates. And again, the 30-year conforming, which is conventional, flat, 6.15. 30-year FHA dropped 8 points down to 6.12. Momentarily was ahead of conventional, now have come down. So we're seeing that 6.12, but look at jumbo. Jumbo's about ready to crack the fives. That literally blew up last week, and now it is going straight down. Bond market is getting stronger and stronger. People are putting their money in bonds because they can make 5% on a 1 year. I think it's 4.6, 4.7. Would you rather guarantee your money to make 4.6, 4.7, not have to pay a fund manager, put it in there, or would you rather gamble on the stock market where people lost 30% on average last year, and there could be a complete crash this year because the banking system and the amount of people that have been laid off or are not into those higher end positions, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I know I went a little bit long. Obviously, I'm not an advocate to some of the things that we talked about today, including the renter rights. Come on. Renter rights. That's just funny to even say out loud. Every renter should be looking at buying a house or at least putting together a plan to buy a home. That is the easiest way not to have that fluctuate in your budget is your housing. That's the way you want to do it. Guys, I really appreciate it. Please leave a comment below if you have any comments at all. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow.